Hi, Romesh Shivastu here, Editor-in-Chief, Site C++. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Please to subscribe this for the HR news, for HR updates, and conversation with the top-notch CHROs. The agenda for today's discussion is the global layoffs and its impact on the Indian job market. To discuss on this pertinent subject, we have two eminent panelists. Let me introduce Mr. Abhay Kapoor. Abhay is Head Human Resources at Suzuki Motor, Gujarat. And another panelist is Ms. Aparna Mishra. She is a Senior Manager, Customer Engagement and Sales at SCL Tech. Abhay, if I come to you first, so according to a report by Layoffs Tracker, that's agency, around 2.5 lakh employees were fired last year in 2022. And if we talk about in this year, till the third week of January 2023, over 50,000 employees have been fired. And this includes the companies like Google, Amazon, Salesforce, Morgan Stanley, etc. So how do you see the impact of global layoffs in the Indian job market?
Thanks, Ramesh, for inviting me for this discussion. And it is very relevant topic from the industry and HR point of view in today's scenario. So layoff is not a new thing in the industry or in the global scenario. But yes, with the fast pace it is happening over last 2-3 months, that is impacting the overall sentiments in the industry. So it is largely impacting large MNC employees based out of India, and those who are part of the global layoffs being initiated by these MNC organizations and as a part of their global headcount reduction. So as of now, what we see and what news we get is it is largely impacting the employees of global MNCs based out of India. But of late, as we see the trends and as we see the counter effect of this exercise, it will impact their service providers and back offices employees in India as well in the days to come. So and they must be preparing for their headcount reduction. So I think this is something which is further will impact in terms of Indian job market as well.
So Aparna, what is your initial comments on this? And I would like to also add into this that recently some of the employees, they were fired by the Cognizant and Accenture, and the reason was they could not qualify the background verification. And recently also the Wipro has fired around 500 employees of 452 employees. They did not qualify the internal test. So how do you see this is general practice or it's the impact of any US recession or what do you see? What is your opinion on this?
So first of all, thank you so much, Ramesh. And this is a very relevant conversation, whether we do it in a format that we have chosen to talk about this openly in terms of panel, or we are talking in general in the offices sitting next to each other. We all have a sentiments of understanding what is going to happen to an Indian market with respect to the layoffs that are happening. Abhay, my colleague panel member has already mentioned that it has been an old practice, nothing new when you talk about that this is all of a sudden which is happening. Time to time, the corrections with respect to the profiles, with respect to the CTCs, with respect to the workload that has been seen, organizations has been doing this layoff. And with the current scenario, it is mostly, Abhay already mentioned about it, is mostly relevant to the MNC organizations, the giant of the worlds that we actually look at. You already took the name of a couple of giants. When you talk about the recent week back news that talk about few hundreds of firing. So yes, usually these giants have one specific behavior. They want to choose somebody who is skilled. But how are you going to segregate? Now the factor lies that the organization will have an impact. The wrong facing impact will come up. So what actually they're choosing up, which is actually making sense for them to actually fire, because they have those numbering. It can go down by 1,000 or 5,000 numbers. It's not going to get denied immediately. But what is the priority they are checking is if somebody's background is not verified or is taking little longer, it means there is an issue around it. So that's a one genuine reason for them also to give it. So in case the employee goes and posts something, will not have a valid reason to go and say, okay, my background verification was pending, the reason I got fired. So of course, is one of a planned tactic to prioritize who is in the level of hiring. But yes, it has all started because of the laid off effect that we are seeing amid the hiring processes and the firing processes. So whether you talk about could not qualify the test, or you talk about they could not make it through a background, or you talk about even a census which they are not able to deliver the timelines. All the reasonings are just to ensure that they have a valid reasons behind doing this layoff. They don't want to behave that a random firing happens for, we have already seen a couple of firings that has been done are very invalid. Somebody at a maternity, somebody, working around, got a mail, and those sudden, to just handle those emotions, there has been a planned behavior that has been impacted. But this is a very regular process, nothing new around it.
Abhay, maybe this is the right sizing. Earlier, it was the overhiring, some of the layoffs due to the based on the performance. That may be any of the reason that may be, but some empathy factor that must be there whenever you are separating the employees from the organization. Recently, if you see, there's a news that in Google's New York office, employees got to know about their layoff by waiting in a line to test their access. If the pass turns green, then they would be allowed to go in the office. If the pass turns red, then it means they're let off. How do you see this process? This is and the added question would be that what is the right way to lay off the employees? And if you can also touch upon some statutory part, what the right way, what is the right process to lay off the employees?
Okay, so basically you touched upon the right thing. Many of these companies, they did a lot of hiring during the COVID time over last 3 years. And the growth during the COVID times of these all tech companies or service providers have of late stabilized in a couple of their businesses, and that may be a compulsion to reduce the headcount. We are listening many sides of stories, and many different versions we keep on hearing from CEOs and HR, and of late from the employees also. They are putting their comments on various social media platforms, and at times these stories are very different, what employees are telling and how they are being treated at the time of layoff. Some companies are giving very generous compensation and outplacement support and treating them well, but many of them have also just treated employees as a commodity and asked them to immediately terminate the services without giving any generous compensation, just based on the notice pay or minimal compensation. Some of the companies have practiced that also, wherein this has been expressed by a couple of employees, those who have been laid off in various social media platforms. If you ask me, generally whenever you have to lay off people due to any business compulsion, there is a systematic way and process with the empathy which can be done, considering the long-term association of the employees. However, at times, whenever this mass layoff happens, companies want to do it in this manner only, so that they can communicate very clearly and offer some compensation. As far as statutory position is concerned, laws are very different in India and Europe and US countries, and each countries have their own way of managing hire and fire. So from the Indian perspective, your terms and condition of employment and notice pay and other formalities which you have to do before terminating the employees, I think that makes a very important part. And although I don't have much information that how it is happening, but I'm sure that such large organizations must be taking care of the statutory obligations.
So, do you think that this will impact the hiring in India in 2023? And if there will be impact, then what are the sectors that will be most affected?
So majorly what we have heard, basically it's happening in IT, ITS, service and media or tech-based organizations. These companies are most talked about on the layoff. And of late, some financial services companies are also, we are hearing on the layoff list. And many unicorns also, those who are taking this opportunity to cut their cost. But as we go along, I think a couple of other service industries and support industries may also get impacted with this layoff. And this will have an overall impact on the hiring during the 2023, at least. Some hiring on lateral as well as freshers also, because headcount is something which is very, very important aspect of the overall costing in any organization. And if overall headcount is getting reduced, so there is very less likelihood that the headcount numbers will increase so fast. So definitely it will have the impact on 2023 job prospects in India.
Aparna, you have been into the institutes for a long time. So, what is your take on this? That how do you see the impact of these layoffs and the market scenario on the campus hiring part for the freshers this year?
So, Ramesh, I mean, you have asked it very specifically with respect to the campus hiring for this year. So if you ask me, this year is already done. I mean, it's clearly done. So the financial year of 2022 and 23, which we call a batch of 23 pass out, they have already seen a positive one. We haven't seen any impact in any of these sectors with respect to the campus hiring. Of course, there are spillover effects that we are able to see. We are also able to understand how it can actually work out. So for this year, there is no effect, but 100% the effect is visible for the coming years. Organizations, when I talk about coming years, because usually the campus season start with respect to any year. So the subsequent year is going to be a batch of 2024, which is going to be a pass out batch. And when I talk about that batch, the hiring season will start from the month of May 23 is the season. So just a year before they start the hiring for campus. Campus never happens on the same year. Hardly organizations who have less numbers, for an example, manufacturing or core sectors for that matter, usually hire in the same fiscal year. But any and every organization which is laying off, or giants we are talking about, usually has a year before plan. So this year, 22-23, there is no effect that I'm seeing. Students have got amazing offers. They have made it to a great organizations. The roles are fantabulous, and things have been super fabulous so far. Of course, the emotions have already effect, as I already mentioned. So the 20% cut, the statistics already talked about. If we talk about the coming year, 20% cut is 100% visible. I mean, the organizations have already given us a heads up that which are the numbers and the area they are seeing not growing. For an example, somebody, I don't want to, post a name, but organizations who are hiring 35,000 or 3,700 or 40,000 per year, when it comes to the graduate hiring, now the numbers are going 50% down. And when I talk about even for a product organizations whose CTCs are usually very higher, they have decreased their numbers.
Financial year 23-24.
I am talking about 20. Yes, so 23 starts from April. Yeah, 23 starts from April, and hiring season starts in May. So campus is always a year before. And by the time 23-24 hits up, so 24 will end in March 24. So, this April 23 to March 24, the impact will start post-May. Before that, the impact is definitely not going to come. So this year, I am not seeing, because all the hirings
So
and
I'm
firings
talking
are
about the
happening.
next financial year. The next financial
Yes,
year
yes.
I'm talking about.
20% cut is going to happen to the
Okay.
giants, and 50% to the world giants that we see dozen thousands, which is like 30,000, 40,000 of hiring per year. And you already took a couple of names, which are very amazing. So their numbers are usually 35,000 per year, 40,000 per year. So that is the graduate hiring numbers they take. And across India, they do those many numbers. So I'm seeing 50% cut in that. That is a verbal communication we have already started to see. Product companies, 25% down. I mean, the product companies are the giants who actually pay amazing to all the great students who are actually performing well with the niche one. So 25% cut there also. So yes, the impact is about to come from me.
Right. And those who hired in financial 2023 may face some onboarding issues like Wipro, which has done after the hiring and onboarding them, then after the internal test, and then maybe some firing, maybe we can see this kind of the incidents more.
Onboarding, definitely I'm seeing some situational. So if we remember in the March 2020, when the COVID hit us, during that time, March 2020, yes, I remember the onboarding process was a big hit by core organizations. Any and every hiring that was done by a core, they did not, because they could not switch to a virtual mode. You need organization, for an example, manufacturing plant. You have to go in a plant to join an organization. You cannot do anything virtually. I am actually suspecting the similar behavior this year, but for more IT and ITS, as Abhay already mentioned, that ITS, financial, couple of mature startups who are already taking this as an advantage. They have already increased their cost and over hirings has been done. So all those food vendors that we're actually seeing who are actually supporting us for the deliveries, they are also cutting at a lower level operations, and various other SCM jobs are also losing upon. So what we are seeing is the onboarding is definitely a problem. What I don't see a problem is if you say that test and all, whatever news an organization has given that they have taken an online test and they could not clear the basics, that is after onboarding and a year of time. So every organization has post-induction. Usually they have evaluation, and especially in the technology area. This is nothing new. If you have to be in certain area, if you are a technical person, for that matter, non-technical also, if we are in certain area, there are a couple of tests that are expected every person to give and clear. If you're not reading latest stuff, if you're not updated from the skills that are expected you to, a test may or may not be in your favor. So this has been a practice, but earlier people were not that strict. If you're not able to clear the test, they give you some time to revamp and come back and give the test and retest and this and that. So it has been always there. This time, probably the chance of a retest is not coming. If you're not clearing, it means you're not interested, you're not upgrading, you're not serious about the work that has been given. Please go. That's a clear statement. So we all need to be a little more vigilant and very clear that yes, the time is a little hard. Students also need to be a little more serious about the profiles. This will not affect to the people who are actually skilled. This is affecting to the people who are below a certain skill, which is very much valid. I don't say it is good or bad, but what I say is it is valid.
Abhay, of course, no one wants to be in the list of layoff employees. So what they can do so that they can evade themselves from the layoff first, and if any case, if they are laid off, then what is next? What they can plan for the how they can survive, and what the next plan should be there for the employees? What is your advice on this?
So in career of any employee, there are two things. One is employment and second is employability. So whenever you face this kind of situation, when layoff and maybe some kind of a break which you have to invest in yourself, then upskill, multi-skill, find out what is new things in your profession which are trending, upgrade your knowledge on that, do some short-term courses by the time you land into a new job. I think these are a couple of advices which I would like to give. And today morning only I saw the video of Ramcharan, and he was also focusing on that during this time you must use your time in investing in yourself, multi-skilling, find out the new industry trends which are coming in your profession, what are the new technologies may emerge over a couple of years, and you can start learning on them. You can invest in yourself. And we always talk about employment and employability. So when you get laid off, it is the best time to build on your employability for the future, so that you may avoid this situation in the next layoff. So I think, in today's generation, Aparna may agree that whenever they look for a profession or they join some organization, they don't look from a very, very long term. They always have some kind of backups that they want to do many things during this career. And even, in fact, many of them don't want to spend their 30-40 years just doing the job. Maybe they want to do job for initial couple of years and then want to do something at their own. So their aspirations are also very different as of date. Maybe this is the trend which I have seen many youngsters, especially techies. They are not too much worried about the layoff, but they are definitely, it is a pain point, but they are ready to take up the challenge, and they feel that maybe they can get some better opportunities.
Pranam, what is your advice for the fresh candidates?
Ramesh, you've been very smartly asking me for the laid off people, because of course the topic is like that. But what I feel is upskilling and upgrading yourself for any, whether you are a part of that list, you're not a part of that list, you have to do it. There is no second thought about it. Even in today's world, if we have to take a next level jump, you have to keep upgrading yourself. So for sure, that is a one thing. The next, I feel, have patience. Have patience, discuss with your mentors, be in touch with them, talk to the industry giant, people who are already experienced. Not necessarily ye kabhi nahi hoga aapke saath. Life is very, agile, and you don't know what is happening next.
Life is very
so you have to be little ready with the kind of stuff. Even if you're skilled, there could be an odd situation, and you may be in a kind of stuff. I mean, a lot of time you want to take up, I need a better salary. So what better you are bringing to the table? So even if you're going to negotiate with your manager, you need to upskill. So my suggestion is have patience. Do not lose it. Please be in touch with the people who are experienced in talking to a career discussions. Talk to your mentors on a very regular basis. Keep upskilling yourself. So these are the 3 mantras you should definitely look at the moment you feel there is some, 9 clouds around.
So thank you, Abhay, and thank you, Aparna, for joining and sharing your wonderful thoughts on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ramesh, for having us. Thank you.